Hello there. This is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for the comments recently asking for another video in this series because I'd put the book away on a shelf and totally forgotten about it. This one sounds a good one. Martelange, between Belgium and Luxembourg. Inaccurate maps caused the town to be divided. So we've got here, following the river, the border between Luxembourg and Belgium here on the western side. This is really weird, these to signify petrol stations, or in American English, gas stations. I hope we're going to find out why that's important. So this is the River Sur, this is Martelange, and then over here is Hombach-Martelange, and down here is Upper-Martelange. How interesting. International borders that pass through towns very often cause some kind of problem for their inhabitants. However, the presence of a border may also benefit such a divided settlement, primarily by making it more interesting and therefore a tourist attraction, thus encouraging economic development in some way. The town of Martelange is located in the southeast of Belgium, on the border with the neighbouring Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. A small part of this with the neighbouring Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. Oh, sorry, I read the same sentence again. A small part of this once united town belongs to Luxembourg and is called Upper Martelange, Über Martelingen Luxemburgisch, Haut Martelange, or Haute Martelange in French, and Obermartelingen in German. The town is primarily known for the N4 highway that runs through it, one of the most important connections between the capitals of the neighbouring countries, Brussels in Belgium and Luxembourg. In fact, the N4 forms the border between Belgium and Luxembourg as it passes through the town. Since fuel, here we go, tobacco and alcohol taxes are considerably lower in Luxembourg than in Belgium, the Luxembourg side of the N4 is densely lined with petrol stations and small off-licenses and tobacco stores, and not much else. When I went to visit some people on a trip to Germany, the town was like 20 minutes from the border with the Czech Republic, and literally everyone used to fill up and buy cigarettes in the Czech Republic because it was way cheaper than in Germany. This unusual border situation dates back to the mid-19th century, when the borders of the Kingdom of Belgium were determined. The Border Commission decided that the entire road, which is now known as the N4, should pass through Belgian territory in order to avoid border crossings. Unfortunately, old and inaccurate maps were used, which resulted in some parts of Martelange remaining within Luxembourg. The mayor at the time protested about the division, and although the protest was accepted, the Dutch, who were then in a union with the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, had already put boundary markings in place, and so the divisions of Martelange were officially implemented. Modern times have once again led to a kind of merging with the two sides of Martelange. Immediately after the Second World War, the Union of Belgium, the Netherlands and Luxembourg, or Benelux, was formed, And a little later, the forerunners of the European Union evolved. The European Coal and Steel Community, the European Economic Community, the European Community. Each of these unions gradually decreased the significance of borders, but the tax rates remained within the control of the individual member states. Today, the inhabitants of Martelange mainly get their fuel from one of the numerous petrol stations on the Luxembourg side of the N4. This side of the highway is now part of a small town, Rombach, but due to its connection with its Belgian twin, it is known as Rombach-Martelange. Such a density of petrol stations, around 15 in 1 kilometre, indirectly caused a major accident at the end of the 1960s. A tanker containing about 45 tons of gas overturned, causing an explosion that killed 22 people and injured 120. More than 20 buildings, including a pharmacy, hotel, post office, store and bank, were completely destroyed. A memorial was erected in memory of the tragedy. Unfortunately, it too suffered a misfortune. In 1990, another tanker fell into the river, causing significant chemical pollution and the collapse of the monument. It is interesting to note that the border between Belgium and Luxembourg does not actually run down the middle of the N4 highway as expected, but about a metre or two from the Luxembourg edge of the road. This means that almost all things on the Luxembourg side are, in fact, partly in Belgium. Martelange is also known as a four-language town. Walloon, the northernmost Romance language, French and Luxembourgish are spoken on the Belgian side, while Walloon German and Luxembourgish are used on the Luxembourgish side. Skip a few pages. It's a Russia-Kazakhstan one. The Ural River and cities on 2 continents. The river that splits towns between 2 continents along its 2,500 kilometre course. So, this river is the Ural. I think, so does it start off with the Volga? Oh no, this is the Volga, going out to sea here. This is Astrakhan, I think, here, just on the Caucasus. And then we've got the Volga, and then Magnitogorsk, Ural, Orsk, Orenburg, Uralsk, which is now in Kazakhstan. This is the border. And then comes down to Atirau by the sea, into the Caspian Sea. We can see Uzbekistan peeking into view just down here. Oh, I see, yes, the Volga River starts there and goes this way, but the Ural starts there and goes this way. I thought they were linked for a second, that's why I was confused. I think the Volga River is one of the longest in the world as well. The Ural River rises in the southern slopes of the Ural Mountains and flows into the Caspian Sea. Its total length is almost 2,500 kilometers, which makes it the 3rd longest river in Europe and the 18th longest river in Asia. The river's source is in the Russian Republic of Bashkortostan, formerly Bashkiria, where this powerful water flow is known as the Yaik, and its mouth is in Kazakhstan, whose local population call it the Yaik. The Russian name of this river was Yaik until the end of the 18th century. Most experts consider this river to form part of the Europe-Asia boundary. Viewing the whole boundary, it passes through the Ural Mountains, the Ural River, the Caspian Sea, the Caucasus Mountains, the Black Sea, the Bosphorus, the Sea of Marmara, and the Dardanelles. Over time, many cities that had formed on one bank of the Ural River had gradually extended to the other bank, and therefore to another continent. The first city of that kind is Magnitogorsk, an industrial city located in the extreme south of the Ural Mountains on the banks of the river. Although its population has been decreasing in recent years, it still has over 400,000 inhabitants. Magnitogorsk Iron and Steelworks, MMK, is the main industrial plant in the city, being one of the largest steelworks in Russia. Proximity to large iron ore deposits provided the reason for the town's development, which was of crucial importance during the Second World War. Magnitogorsk was a long way from the front line, which made it possible for the city to produce large quantities of much needed steel. Of course, such mass production caused severe pollution of the entire area, and the problem still exists. Magnitogorsk is among 25 of the world's most polluted cities. Depletion of the available quantity of iron ore forced MMK to import it from Kazakhstan. Some 250 kilometers south of Magnitogorsk lies the city of Orsk, another two-continent city on the Ural River. Today, Orsk has about 240,000 inhabitants. It was a significant trade centre during the 18th century, but was also known for the manufacture of top-quality shawls and scarves, whereas in the 20th century it was well known for the mining of a remarkable semi-precious stone, jasper. Orenburg, the capital of the Orenburg region, 250 kilometers further downstream from Orsk, is another city that extends onto two continents, with its bigger part being in Europe and the smaller part in Asia. Orenburg is located less than 100 kilometers from the border with Kazakhstan. Its population is over 500,000, and it is a large centre for the Russian energy sector. In addition, this city has a number of universities, institutes, museums and theatres, which make Orenburg a significant regional educational and cultural centre as well. About 85 kilometers in a straight line from the point where the Ural crosses the Russia-Kazakhstan border, the river passes through the city of Uralsk, the first transcontinental city of Kazakhstan. Most of the city is located to the west of the Ural, making it a mostly European city. Some small settlements and the airport are situated on the opposite bank in Asia. This city, as well as the majority of other cities on the Ural River, was founded by Cossacks in the 17th century. Nowadays it is an important agricultural and industrial centre and provides a connection between the oil fields in the Caspian region and the industrial cities of the southern Ural. At the very mouth of the Ural River in the Caspian Sea is the city of Aterau, known as Guriev until 1991. This city, with about 155,000 inhabitants, is now known for its oil industry and fishing. In addition, it is one of the two main Kazakhstan ports on the Caspian Sea, and is located about 25 meters below sea level. Some of the most significant Kazakhstan oil pipelines to Russia start from this city. I think I got time for a short one. This section is about ghost towns. Let's learn about one in Pennsylvania in the United States. I'm just looking and I can see Scranton as a office fan. And then we've got New York over here, Trenton, Philly. This is New Jersey. And then in Maryland, Baltimore, we've got Delaware here. Is that in like one of the Virginias? Lancaster, Reading, Allentown, Centralia. Oh, and Patterson I forgot to mention. The little town of Centralia in Pennsylvania is almost a ghost town. Its population dropped from 2,500 after the Second World War to about 1,000 in the early 1980s, to a dozen people in 2013. The reason for such a rapid drop in the number of inhabitants is the underground fire that has been continuously burning since 1962 in the Centralia coal mine, in which experts predict will burn for another 250 years. I've actually seen a YouTube video on this. You can check it out, it's pretty incredible. As a consequence of the fire, toxic gases are rising from the ground all over the town. The most dangerous being carbon monoxide, a gas without colour, taste or smell, which can be deadly when inhaled. Another hazard is the sudden opening of large sinkholes and the collapsing ground, affecting buildings and roads. The government of Pennsylvania made a decision to urgently buy the entire town from its owners and to immediately have most of the buildings pulled down. Only a dozen very persistent inhabitants have remained in their homes. The nearby, considerably smaller town of Burnsville has shared Centralia's fate. This one's quite a long one to read, so I won't do it today, but it's something that I found about 15 years ago when I was looking at the geography of Russia. In case I don't get around to doing it, please look up the Jewish Autonomous Oblast in Russia. It's the strangest story. I basically will summarize it for you. Basically, to find, before Israel was created, to find a safe place for Jewish people to live after the Second World War, the answer from the Russian government was to send them to this extreme east area that was on the border with China. And the way I read it was, basically it was an area that if China wanted to invade Russia, there was no one living in, and so they wouldn't know that they'd been invaded for a little bit of time. And so they wanted to move people in there to, watch out for an invasion. And so they moved in anyone who's of the Jewish faith. And I think there's quite a small amount of Jewish people living in the capital city now, but it was still a sort of half nice idea, done purely for selfish reasons, I guess, but also a little bit of a nice reason as well. So yeah, I'll come back to that another time. In fact, I might actually save the page to ensure that we start off with it next time. I hope I don't Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for a really lovely comment on the last one. And yeah, I wanted to say that very briefly that I do always make an effort to try and pronounce the place names at least once in their correct form before just pronouncing them in a normal English accent, partially because I speak so many different languages that I can usually speak that language and can give a pretty good attempt at saying the place name. I hope that comes across well, because someone pointed out in one comment I had last week that they thought that I was like doing some funny voice. But if you want to see me do ASMR in lots of different languages, check out my other channel, where I do ASMR in everything from Welsh to Polish to Arabic, Farsi, Indonesian. So yeah, check out that channel. And while you're here, click like, leave me a comment,